Hey all. So this is part two of the PPC video. And so in this video, we're going to be looking at efficiency in the PPC as well as shifting the PPC. What is a tornado's favorite game? Twister. Ha ha ha. All right, so the PPC part two. So in this video, we're really going to concentrate on the PPC and efficiency and also shifting the PPC here. So when we're talking about efficiency, there are two different types of efficiency that you guys have to know. The first being productive efficiency and the second being allocative efficiency. So productive efficiency is just you're producing things at the lowest possible cost, right? That's all. And so how you know you're being productively efficient is if you're anywhere on the PPC curve itself, right? So if this is our mini PPC right here, if you are anywhere on the curve, you are productively efficient, right? So let's say that you are inside, you are not productively efficient here. Allocatively efficient, on the other hand, it just means that you're producing what society wants. And so here, yet again, you're allocatively efficient if you're on the curve, right? But it sort of depends on what society wants here. So you can be productively efficient and not allocatively efficient at the same time. But you can't be allocatively efficient and not productively efficient. Right? And so that'll make it clear on the next slide here. So here, on this curve, which points are productively efficient? Which curves are allocatively efficient? Well, we said we are productively efficient, right? We'll use green. If we are productively efficient, we are anywhere on the curve itself. So here, we're productively efficient at point A, at point B, point C, point D, and point E, right? Point F is not productively efficient. Why? Well, because here we're being inefficient with our goods, right? Let's say there's unemployment. We're not maximizing our resources here. We're also not productively efficient at point G. Why? Well, because it's unattainable, right? Given our current resources. So then what about allocatively efficient? What points are allocatively efficient? Well, remember, allocative efficiency just means you're producing what society wants. So it just depends, right? So let's, for an example, say that we are living in the future, where people don't ride bikes anymore. Let's say we're sort of like in a Wall-E type world, which I have never seen before. So let's say in that world, no one uses bikes. So the most allocatively efficient point here is point E in this hypothetical scenario. Why? Well, because in this particular country, right, because they have no need for bikes, they shouldn't spend any of their resources towards the production of bikes. And instead, they should pour all their resources into the production of computers here. But let's say on the other hand, right, we live in a society that doesn't have any electricity. Well, that means, right, the most allocatively efficient point is going to be point A if we live in a society without any electricity. Why? Well, because without electricity, computers have no value. And so because of that, this country that has no electricity should pour all their resources towards the production of bikes. And so today in the United States, right, we're probably somewhere around point D, right? In the US, right, that's probably the most allocatively efficient point. As US citizens, we primarily place more emphasis on computers than we do bikes here. Go United States. And so here, is combination A efficient? Right? Are we productively efficient? Let me shorthand it. And are we allocatively efficient? I spelled that wrong, but you guys get what I mean, right? So are we productively efficient? Well, are we on the curve? Well, the answer is yes, right? Point A is on the curve. So yes, we are productively efficient. Are we allocatively efficient? So let's take a look at this graph here, right? This country can either produce size 20 running shoes or size 10 running shoes. Well, if allocative efficiency is producing what society wants, there's not a lot of people in the United States or in this country that want size 20 running shoes, right? Instead, right? They would probably want more size 10 running shoes here. And so we're going to say at this point A, this country is not allocatively efficient because a majority of the citizens don't want size 20 running shoes. And so that leads us towards the last concept with the PPC, the shifting of the PPC. And so let's revisit our 4 key assumptions here, right? So we said that these things are always going to stay constant, that we're only going to be producing 2 goods at a time. We're going to have the full employment of all of our resources. There's going to be fixed amount of resources, and there's going to be this idea of fixed technology. And so when we're talking about the fixed or shifting the PPC, we're talking about, well, what happens if one of these assumptions changes? And then so for us, there are only 3 shifters in the PPC. The first being a change in resource quantity or quality. So let's say the US discovers a nice vein of gold or a nice vein of untapped natural resources. Well, all of a sudden, that's an increase in resources, right? Increase in the quantity of resources. That's going to shift our PPC outward. There's a change in technology, right? Let's say there's a change in technology that allows for more production of goods. Well, that's also going to shift our PPC outwards. Right? Also change in trade, right? Because we're going to say, and this is one thing that we're going to stress in this class, trade helps, right? Trade allows for countries to consume beyond their capabilities, beyond their PPC, right? So if one of these 3 things changes, our PPC is going to shift. So if there's a change in resource quantity or quality, if there's a change in technology, and or if there's a change in trade. So let's practice with this a little bit. So we have our scenario. What happens if there's an increase in population? Well, here, right, with population. Well, population, right, we know that it's a resource, right? The population is just labor, one of the factors of production. And so if we see an increase in labor, what's that going to do with our PPC? Well, here, our PPC is going to shift outwards. Pretty simple, right? Well, let's look at our second example. Well, what happens if there is a technological improvement only in pizza ovens? Well, one, we know that this is going to shift our PPC, right? Because we said that one of the shifters is going to be change, triangle just means change in technology here. But there's only a technological improvement in pizza ovens. So is this going to impact the computers in any way, shape, or form? The answer is no, right? A technological improvement in pizza ovens is not going to impact how many computers are being produced, but it is going to impact the amount of pizzas being produced here. So our PPC is going to shift outwards like this, right? The curve where computers are, it's going to stay the same because this country is still going to be producing the same amount of computers here. But the production possibilities of the production of pizzas is going to shift outwards, as you see in this in the curve that I drew, because of the technological improvement in pizzas here. And so here, right, this brings the idea of capital goods and future growth. So remember, this word capital goods, or this phrase capital goods, just means goods that can produce other goods, right? So goods that produce other goods. And so here, we're going to say that countries that prioritize the production of capital goods is going to see more growth in their PPC. Right? And so if we look at this, right, if we have Panama that favors consumer goods, right, their future PPC is still going to shift out either through trade or technological advancement and stuff like that. But their PPC is not going to shift out as much compared to Mexico, who favors capital goods. Right? Their future PPC is going to shift further to the right. And the reason for this is because, remember, capital goods are goods that produce other goods. And so if a country invests heavily towards the production of capital goods, that means at the end of the day, they can produce a whole lot more goods by themselves. All right, so we have guided practice. This is yet another thing we'll go over in our Google Meet. Also with the guided practice too, right? Like I said, we'll go over it. If you want to check your answers, it's in sort of the notes section below. Also, with the other video, I'll make a separate video going over these practice AP questions here with the correct answers. All right, guys, so that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys learned a lot, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.